Sorry, I'm gonna be sucking on my vape because this is one of those movies where I think the THC is gonna help.
Your hand, I will never let it go. Your hand.
Welcome, everyone, to Marvelous or the Death of Cinema. On this episode, we're talking about Colin Trevorrow's auteur, one for me, indie masterpiece, The Book of Henry.
Whose idea was this? Was it yours?
Yeah, it was mine.
I think. Well, two people in the. We're very not immune to peer pressure. So two people were like, "You should watch Book of Henry," and I got scared, and I'm like, "Okay, don't push me into
I wanted to do this on my old podcast, but we've got to do the intro still.
Yeah,
or the I'm Stu.
Oh yeah, I'm Stu.
I'm Stu.
I'm Stu.
No, I'm Stu.
Stu's on first.
Maybe you're Stu.
I think anyone who doesn't know who we are will figure it out through context. Book of Henry.
If your first episode is Book of Henry, I'm so sorry.
No, this is going to be a good episode. People want to hear our input.
Actually, hold on. I appreciate it when shows do the intros, even if I've listened to them before, because I just lose track of who has which voice sometimes.
That's fair.
And I just forget. It's like, oh, is the high-pitched guy Jeff or is the low-pitched guy Bob or whatever, right? So I appreciate it even on shows I watch a lot.
I, Nicole, like to think I have a very distinct voice from both of you, as you both have very distinct voices from each other.
Thank you.
There's my intro.
That distinct voices. We all have distinct voices. Book of Henry. So if you're listening, you might remember when this first came out, and it was the subject of many amusing YouTube videos. Where do we start with this one? It might go down. This might become a cult movie, like a So Bad It's Good canon film.
If it doesn't, I will be deeply sad.
Cole, you're gonna clearly be the one leading the charge for some sort of reappraisal.
This is Cole's new Attack of the Clones.
Can I just point out we watched this all together last night. You were upset because you forgot you had to watch this, so you had started watching the Crumb documentary.
This is true. Let me
stop it.
So fucking like Law and Order clapboard. We're at the scene of the crime, Cole's house. Exactly.
These are their stories. I work,
as most of you that listen to the show know, I work at a movie theater. So I had to, my days off are Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday. I have a half day Wednesday. And so Monday rolls around. I'm like, awesome. I got all my shit done, I watered my plants. I did other, I cooked myself some nice breakfast.
I think, yeah. So you did the tasks.
I did.
You did the tasks.
Yeah. I'm now stretched out on the couch. I'm puffing away I stole my girlfriend's dab pen because she doesn't smoke weed, and so I'm like, all right, this is mine. I've appropriated it for the cause.
Stealing from her.
Yeah, we'll set that aside.
If you've never stolen something from someone you're sleeping with, you're a liar. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch something, and if it's not good, I'll put it down, read some Berserk, get high, watch some cartoons or whatever. And so I'm flipping through the server, deciding what to watch, and then I'm like, oh, I downloaded the Crumb documentary. Someone was just telling me that movie was good. I'll watch it. I get about 2 minutes in. I'm in my short shorts. I'm having a great time. I'm in my little PJs. Fucking all of a sudden, like on the Kim Possible phone, these two fucking chuckleheads over here are like, all right, we're gonna watch,
I think it was me.
We're gonna watch Book of Henry.
We gotta watch Book of Henry.
I just exclaimed like,
you had forgotten.
I was crestfallen.
You were so sad. And then you were going here's the kicker. The kicker is you log on and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna play meat and fuck games throughout this entire
I'm gonna
thing.
play bad Flash. I started off playing meat and fuck games about 10 minutes in, and then I got bored, and also like I got a little bit too high, so all the naked anime women were starting to do like the Videodrome thing, and I was like, I'm gonna have a psychotic break if I keep playing this game. So I put on some. I think you can hear me put on Minesweeper.
Yeah, you started playing Minesweeper at one point, and then Solitaire.
It took me until. So we started the movie at, I believe, when it was about 7:30 my time.
Yeah, it was like 9 my time.
Yeah, so about 7 my time.
Like 9:30.
I did not beat a game of Solitaire until 12:58 p.m. that night. I am so fucking bad at Solitaire, which is a game that you play by yourself. There's no opponent.
But here's the thing: as the movie went on, I could hear you become completely engrossed. So you want to just tell the listeners
I was moved to tears
what you
by
experienced?
Because this is a movie that, like, and if you're a patron subscriber, you can actually hear my descent into madness.
Yeah, we recorded the commentary, guys. Give us some money.
It's our best one of those.
It's easily the best one. It's easily the best commentary. Like, you can shout out to the victim all you want, but fucking this one's the best. Like, anyways, this goddamn movie is like, so I've been watching a lot of bad anime recently from the 90s, and there's a certain like perversion to that, you know, where people will make will come up with like essentially like 30 minutes of a bad Twilight Zone plot, and then put 20 minutes of porn and stick it on a VHS tape. And it
just like a lot
classic.
Of like the shittier, sleazier OVAs.
Yeah, I watched Wicked City and then like fucking Demon City Shinjuku, and they're all great.
Yeah, and you're thinking about the lady with the spider.
Oh, you're even talking about the good one. Yeah, I still need to watch a bunch of those.
They're good.
They've been on my list forever,
but you can clearly tell they're like, we want you to jack off here.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, this is the American version of that. This is some fucking sicko, some sicko that's like that
Colin Trevorrow
that like, you know, did well enough at film school to get noticed, and just has a deep void, a deep psychopathic hunger, like Norman Bateman and or Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
You're thinking of Norman Bates.
I'm thinking of
that works too.
I accidentally,
both of them interchangeable.
The symbolism.
No, he's an insane person.
He's
clearly
an insane person. That void that creates a psychopath oftentimes also creates like people that can make art. Usually these people are pretty good. You know, your Yukio Mishimas, just people that are just fucked. Colin Trevorrow is one of those people, but he's like bad at it. Like he's not a good director. All the Jurassic World movies blow. Fucking, he wants to be Steven Spielberg. He wants to create like this nostalgia saccharine shit, but then like just ran out of ideas, or for some reason was like, this also needs to be the Bourne Identity.
Well, this movie is set in 2017, but it just, like, they kind of make it look a little like, yeah, and it's like there's all these anachronisms, which also might just be from the fact that the first version of the script is from like 1998, where he's like, Henry, the titular kid, is like using a tape recorder, like the one from Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Instead of like a phone or a computer or a tablet or something.
This kid is a genius, but then he's also like just a loser and bad at technology. Like if you were a fucking genius, you'd be mining Bitcoin on your mom's laptop. You idiot.
Yeah, he's doing her taxes by hand with a pencil instead of in computer software.
The real Henry is like a kid that's buying a dark web hitman. To take out his...
Oh, the real Henry is a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, he's buying a dark web hitman to take out someone that his favorite Twitch streamer has beef with. And Stu, would you like to explain the Book of Henry franchise?
Okay,
explain.
All right. Here's our concise plot summary for the Book of Henry.
The Book of Henry.
Henry is one of those movie genius kids, which means he's just a shitty, condescending adult in a child's body. He has a little brother who's basically normal. Everybody kind of loves and respects him for his genius, even though he's just very insufferable to be around all the time.
Kind of like this podcast.
His mom, played by Naomi Watts, is just a retard who can't do the dishes or her taxes or the bills, and just
completely stunted,
and just plays.
She might as well be a teen mom.
She plays she plays Gears of War all day, but she's a good, loving mom also.
Yeah, played by
she's just mentally 7 years old.
It's Naomi
anyway,
Watts.
Henry is this weird, precocious kid who's the adult in his family, which there is a real life version of that, which is the kid has to grow up too fast because their parent can't hold it together. But it's very different than how cutesy this movie is about the relationship. And he has a crush on the neighbor girl, Maddie Ziegler, and her dad is Dean Norris from Breaking Bad, and he's her single stepdad, and he's abusing
police commissioner.
Yeah.
Too.
Also, Henry has no dad, and it's not even really mentioned what happened to him, unless I missed it.
He was very annoyed by his asshole son and left. Presumably,
it would be funny if he just had a he was just like he was balling, He was
his parents are just divorced, and his dad just sees him every other weekend. It's just the movie doesn't take place over that weekend.
Yeah, he shows
up. He shows up to pick them up the week after. He's like,
he's sitting at home in a much nicer house. He's got like a grav bong. Like he doesn't
because Naomi Watts is so inept in this movie. She never calls him to tell him that. So he just shows up the weekend after the movie ends, and this girl comes out of the house.
Wait, we gotta build up to that. Yeah. We gotta build up to that.
Okay, so how do I put this? So the first half of the movie is just kind of this indie twee dramedy stuff with this genius kid and his family and blah blah blah, and then and then in like one scene he's like trying to get the school principal to report Dean Norris for abusing his daughter, and the principal's just like, He's too well connected. I can't do that.
Yeah, this guy.
I literally can't do my job.
This guy is Jeffrey Epstein of like fucking like some shitty suburb somewhere where
outside Albany. Yeah.
They send CPS to his house, and somehow CPS is like run by his brother. Like
his brother, it just shows a shot of the
pamphlet.
All about abuse pamphlet. And it's just like the guy has the same last name. It's so contrived.
Which honestly work. Like, you know how hard it is to become Jeffrey Epstein when you don't have like Bill Clinton and fucking like a billion like the entire CIA, like
Lex Wessner.
Yeah, all those fucking not Jeffrey Epstein. like
Epstein Associates.
Yeah.
Epstein
this guy did it all by himself. It was all him. He came up.
Well, that's the suburban middle class American entrepreneur. All the Main Street Epsteins. And that's why we need Trump in office. He's gonna take out the billionaire pedophiles, so the regular Joe pedophile can compete on an even playing field.
Yeah.
Okay, so. That's the first half of this movie. Then midway through the movie, Henry gets cancer in the brain and dies. And
his brain was too big. He had a brain blast and it gave him terminal cancer.
Yeah. It's possible. I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to point out there is a reading of this movie, like a very dumb guy reading, where it's like, oh, he like the script came out when some pop science article said that like tumors make you smart or something. And
no, that was just a thing I said offhand that you started believing with the movie because you were really high.
No, I fully believe that like one version of the script has like the Lee Pace character being like, yeah, no, sorry, your brain's too big. Like God's gonna kill you, fucking.
Right.
And it still would have been
Lee Pace.
Lee Pace is a hot doctor.
Yeah.
They
he's
made
like,
him not as hot.
I'm so sorry about your son dying, Naomi Watts. but you want to suck me off? You want to?
He just goes to the talent show, but the implication.
And then she does it.
Oh, we didn't
trying to fuck her.
Wait, we didn't even
He's trying to fuck her the whole movie.
And
we didn't, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, this is very important. Naomi Watts, she works at a diner. But in the back half, Henry has been like doing stocks.
He's been doing crypto.
He's been doing crypto and stocks. So he basically got her like 60 grand or something.
No,
so she doesn't have to work.
600. No, she has
600.
After he dies, her boss comes up to her and it's like, I got this letter from your dead son. You have 650 grand in your checking account plus stocks and bonds.
Yeah,
but
she has infinite money. But I want to point
Naomi
out before
Watts.
that.
No, wait, no, I got it for.
It would be really funny if Nicole Kidman sucks him off, and then he's like, ew.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I mentioned Nicole Kidman in reference to the movie Birth, and Cole got confused and thought Nicole Kidman was in this movie.
They're basically the same person.
But Nicole, fuck, now you have me fucking doing it. Fuck you.
Naomi Watts.
Now Naomi Watts, her friend, who's played by Sarah Silverman, also works at the diner. And like the only time we see her friends she's like a Sailor Jerry ass like drunken sort of like floozy with like a rose tattoo on her boob that keeps like changing positions because there's like fuck all continuity.
You get a decent
here.
look at them in this movie.
But there's a scene before I need to point this out, even though it's not really part of the concise plot summary because it is so fucking important. And she kisses a dying 11-year-old on the lips.
Oh yeah. She's like, they have this weird little conversation where it's like Henry, who is like, because he's a genius kid, he can like psychoanalyze himself perfectly.
Yeah.
He's just like, well, you know what? Because they're kind of, there's like one scene where like Sarah Silverman's
like
they're a little shitty to each other.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you know what? I've been being tsundere towards you, Sarah Silverman, because I've got a crush on you. And she's like, oh, okay, you've got cancer, so fuck it, and just makes out with him.
That was an adult kiss. We'll do the rest when you get back.
Oh, God, you're right.
Yeah. I said that in the commentary.
I must have missed it because I was just so busy processing everything else.
I think I screamed. But yeah, so Henry fucking dies. But because he is so smart and so brilliant that he, in his little red notebook, has basically plotted out and planned to the T for a way for his mother to murder Dean Norris and get away with it after he's died.
It's like playing Hitman with a walkthrough.
Yeah,
it's basically what he's done here.
Did we point out that that the pedophile was played by Dean Norris?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I literally just said Dean Norris.
Okay.
Turn off the meat and fuck games.
You're playing meat and fuck games.
First of all, I'm on the MechQuest wave now. I've been spending hours grinding random encounters so I can get a rare drop.
Look, if you're gonna play video games while we podcast, at least show us enough respect to play a real video game that isn't in a web browser.
I think it's funnier if I don't. Also,
right,
this isn't in a web browser anymore because Flash Player went down. You have to actually download a launcher to play this game.
So concise plot summary to conclude. Naomi Watts is trained to use a sniper rifle that's already been bought and prepared for her by these not just the book, but also recordings where Henry's like talking to her from his tapes, and it's doing that whole thing.
And he can anticipate
anticipates what she's gonna say, except like one time, and then at the end, which would be like kind of a more interesting thing if they did more with it, or it's like, oh, he actually can anticipate everything I'm gonna say, but I don't know. Anyway, stuff happens, whatever. We get to the end of the movie. Naomi Watts lures Dean Norris out into the woods across the street and is going to snipe him from Henry's extremely cutesy fucking treehouse.
And
then she
accidentally by seven settlers.
I want to point out everything in this entire sequence is shot like The Bourne Identity.
Oh yeah, halfway through the movie, it goes from being like very like you know how you have the tint slider in basic photo editing.
Mm-hmm.
The first half of the movie's cranked up to warm, and then the warm to
it goes
orange shades, brown shades, and then the second half of the movie, just the instant Henry goes to the hospital, they just turn the tint the other direction to blue for the whole movie.
It's insane.
It goes from looking like a Wes Anderson knockoff to like Catherine Hardwicke, like Twilight.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That is kind of what it looks like.
There's some stuff at the end that like the shot where she's going down the staircase. It's like that's in like a bad Bourne Identity ripoff where they have like a bad Mission Impossible ripoff.
So
like some movie Jason Statham was in 2005.
Meanwhile, there is a talent show.
There's a talent show. Yeah. So we're intercutting from Naomi Watts with dead Henry in her ear being like, take the shot, to Maddie Ziegler dancing.
She's dancing
talent
to Volk.
Show.
She's dancing to Volk.
where Henry's little brother is
violently.
also going to do a magic trick, which we'll get to in a sec. And Naomi Watts can't quite bring herself to take the shot, and then she like accidentally triggers this Rube Gold, because Henry's got all of his Genius Boy Rube Goldberg machines. Every like their house and his treehouse, they all look like out of I Spy books, kind of. Anyway, she actually triggers this Rube Goldberg machine that just unfurls like wallet photos of her and the kids, and then she's like, "Wait a minute, I'm letting my fucking autistic dead son talk me into committing a murder," and she decides not to.
I love my autistic dead son.
So instead, she just goes outside and is just like, I know you're a pedophile. I'm going to go to the media, which I thought this was like a well-connected guy and that wouldn't work. Like the movie kind of established you can't do that, and then just says, well, it'll work anyway if an adult does it, I guess. Well, and then so Dean Norris is like, well, that was weird. And then he goes home, and then the cops all roll in because meanwhile, the school principal was so moved by Maddie Ziegler's dancing. She's like, you know what? It is kind of fucked up to molest kids, and I should call the anonymous tip line. So Dean Norris fucking blows his brains out because he's about to get arrested. And then Naomi Watts arrives back at the talent show just in time for her surviving son to blow a bunch of white confetti out of a trunk. And
the implication being he's spreading Henry's ashes in front of a live studio audience.
Because at the beginning of the movie, Henry, to cheer up his brother, does this thing where he blows confetti around and acts like it's snow or something. And
we all hated it.
So the spirit of Henry lives on by bringing out the best in all of us. This child that just, and I'll say this as a precocious, annoying, smart kid. Children like that don't exist. You're still a child.
Yeah.
And this movie, that's supposed to be the point at the end, but it completely undercuts itself by making him such a genius up to that point and justifying the case for killing this well-connected pedophile so well that its own ending contradicts itself in a way that doesn't feel intentional or thoughtful.
The end.
But that's, I don't know, like you kind of have to watch this movie to really get what's so insane about it, because there's so many small details and just the way it's staged in the performances. It's taking itself so seriously as this like gut punch art film.
So to our listeners out there, you may be wondering, you guys talk about like Marvel movies and DC movies and other IP slot. Why are you talking about the Book of Henry? Well, it's important to put that in the cosmology of our thesis, because this film is notorious. Not only because, as you're probably thinking from that not so concise plot summary, this is batshit crazy, because it is. This movie is widely believed, and I'm inclined to believe so myself, the thing that cost Colin Trevorrow Star Wars Episode 9. Because this movie was eviscerated when it came out.
Oh yeah. It was a fiasco.
So like, let's do a little autopsy and figure out, because like, for the last 24 hours, I've just been like, why? So I did a little cursory digging. So the screenplay for this was apparently written, as you mentioned, like back in 1998 by crime novelist and comic writer Greg Hurwitz. Greg Hurwitz, if that name rings a bell, he's previously written for both Marvel and DC Comics, including Batman: The Dark Knight, New Avengers, Moon Knight.
Comics chat is going to go nuts unearthing
actually,
all this
I just
guy's
found something
runs.
very funny about on his Wikipedia page. Guess who his mentor was at Harvard?
Oh yeah, he is a Harvard alum. Was it?
Is Jordan Peterson?
No, no, are you? No,
I
like
am
the
not
Jordan
kidding.
Peterson.
Hurwitz grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and graduated from Bellarmine College Prep in San Jose, California. Completed a bachelor's degree of arts at Harvard. This guy's actually a genius. Which is really funny. He has 2 degrees from Harvard, 1 from Oxford, and then while at Harvard, he wrote his first novel. He was a student of psychologist Jordan B. Peterson, who influenced his writing. He was the undergraduate scholar athlete of the year.
Wait, that's not Jordan. Wait,
it's the Jordan Peterson. It's
Oh my god!
At Harvard for pole vaulting.
It is very
played
funny.
College soccer in England.
What?
He was a Knox fellow.
What?
Give him credit. At least he's lived a life. I guess.
This guy's like the
You
Robert
just
He came
found
from a prep school. I'm guessing he came from a very
Cole,
upper middle class
you just found
background.
the fucking key that unlocks the big portion of this.
Well, yeah, dude, the pedophile is this whole movie is about how you can never fully slay the dragon of chaos, you know?
Okay,
you could be a super genius and clean your room and create the tree. You could build the tree house. You could eat the steak.
I want to revisit what you're getting at.
Always just make a mess on the couch.
Yes,
and play
I want to
Gears of
revisit
War all day.
Yeah,
I want to put a pin in that right now because I have a whole fucking section of the notes that's just what the fuck is the deal with Colin Trevorrow and women in this movie? But just to round it out, apparently this Greg Hurwitz was working on this screenplay for the past 19 years, and then it got optioned by Jeanette Kahn, who's the DC Comics publisher, who, Cole, you said is the one who invented the bullet logo.
She's the best editor of comics. She's
she optioned. She made this movie happen.
Yeah,
she made this movie happen. Also notably Harvard alum. So this is a Harvard pervert movie through and through.
This makes so much sense now. This is deeply fascinating.
So yeah, what happened was they were such a fan of the screenplay that either Khan or someone at her production company, Kimmel Entertainment, passed it on to Colin Trevorrow because they liked Safety Not Guaranteed. They offered to direct, and he really liked it, but he had already committed to doing Jurassic World. But so immediately after completing Jurassic World, and before having to get started on Star Wars Episode 9, he's all right, I'm gonna come back and that's the one for them. This one's for me.
Yeah, he got $10 million to make this.
This cost $10 million.
I also want to point out
$4.6 million.
There's a lot of concept art and leaked information about Colin Trevorrow's Star Wars. It would have been even crazier than this movie. It ends with Kylo Ren committing suicide in Chancellor Palpatine's office.
Oh, that would have been. I would have preferred a Rise of Skywalker. That's even more.
Yeah, it's also
fucked up and misguided.
The suicide is also a reference. It's insane. It's a reference to the ending shot from fucking Harakiri by Kurosawa. It's insane.
I was gonna say, is it Mishima?
No, yeah, it literally there's concept art of Kylo Ren with his shitty lightsaber disemboweling himself. It's insane.
Kylo Ren in a better universe. It would be funny if Kylo Ren was just Space Mishima.
Yeah.
That's what we would have gotten if George Lucas was still in charge of Star Wars, because he produced Mishima.
He's
seen that movie.
The Kylo Ren analog in the Star Wars expanded universe, Jason Solo kind of goes out like Mishima, where he falls to the dark side, attempts a coup of the Republic, and then manages to take over a very small fucking 2 systems or whatever. in this like failed rebellion, and then just
imagine him
dies.
trying to give like his big fascist speech, and he's just getting drowned out by TIE fighters going overhead.
Can I read a quote?
Yeah.
Can I read a quote? Because again, like many people, you're probably wondering, Greg Hurwitz, why? And this.
Well, now we know.
This is I came across apparently in like the lead up for the release of this movie. Focus Features like did a lot of like their own like fucking press for it, because I'm sure early screenings, or the one early screening they had of this at like a film festival, they were like, oh god. But he was asked about like, okay, well, where did you where does this come from? So he said, and I quote, "I had sold my first novel and I wanted to write a screenplay that reflected what I most wanted to see on the screen. Over the next 19 years, the script evolved to reflect my own development and my own life. I got married and realized that adults don't act in a certain way. Then I had kids and that changed the story as well."
Oh, so
what kind of fucking home life does this guy have?
I get it.
Peterson thing. This is like the Peterson thing really is the key. It's like he's a guy.
He's the burned out gifted kid. This guy.
This is
the writer. Greg Hurwitz was the boy genius. He was like a Ben Shapiro type kid.
Yeah, well, Lord Fauntleroy.
Yeah, and he's always like frustrated by adult hypocrisy and the adults in his life being dumber than him.
Can you do a Peterson voice for the rest of the episode?
You gotta just talk like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of talk like Kermit the Frog is like letting the air
like
out
the
of
Book
the
of Henry.
Before you try to get pussy, you've got to clean your room.
That was barely Kermit the Frog. You gotta go more. You gotta make it sound more like Kermit. He just straight up sounds like Kermit.
I know. I've never tried for that one ever before. But the Peterson thing does, because I've always felt like Peterson, like I've seen a little bit of him talk. He always just seemed boring to me. I didn't really understand what people found so compelling about him. Like he just seemed like a sued crank just off the top.
No, he is. But, he just repackages like self-help stuff as like philosophy.
Yeah.
But he does seem like a guy who like really appeals to a certain type of like above average, or at least perceives themselves as being above average intelligence, like person.
Yeah.
And that like realizing
Henry
now that,
would have loved
Henry
him.
is just the self-insert of the writer and all of his frustrated smart kid misanthropy.
Yeah, because
like just everyone around me. My wife is so goddamn stupid and immature. My kids are so goddamn dumb. Nobody's smart like I am.
I mean, this movie operates on such like delusional levels that, like, again, the first half of this is like so insufferably twee that at one point Naomi Watts takes a ukulele out.
She takes out a ukulele and this movie would have killed if it had come out 10 years earlier.
So I feel like the twee stuff was definitely all Trevorrow, and then all this psychotic shit was Greg Hurwitz. Now I take back everything I say about Colin Trevorrow being a pervert.
I think it's both of them, but like Trevorrow definitely is bringing because he did Safety Not Guaranteed, right? He's a cute.
He got his. I mean, his whole
career guy.
His whole career
and with Home Base.
Spielberg, like
don't forget Home Base, which Stu, you just watched. Stu, tell us about.
Yeah, so this is his short film from like 2008.
This is the Rosetta Stone to understanding this movie and his career.
It's like a Dog Me 95 almost, because it's all just like handheld DV cam, which is not inherently a bad thing, but it's just like they haven't done anything to tweak the lighting. It looks like, if you remember like porn in 2006, if you remember what that looked like, that's what it looks like.
Which was the style at the time.
And it's just the most, it's supposed to be like a miniature sitcom. Like imagine just like a really bad episode of Always Sunny. And it's just this guy fucks his ex-girlfriend's mom out of spite. And that's just it. And it's just not funny.
Horribly unfunny.
And like weirdly misogynistic. Which is not like,
even weirdly. It's just straight up misogynistic.
But just in weird way, that expresses it in weird ways. And I'm not like casual about throwing that kind of thing at my art or entertainment.
Well, let's just, because I'm not encouraging anyone to watch it, because Miguel, right here, you're going to insert the little monologue at the end that made me so angry, like stomach churned.
You don't even know what you're doing. You're ruining everything between she and I. She called me shallow. Do you think I'm shallow?
I don't think you're shallow. I think you've got something wrong. And you were just emotionally completely disconnected. I mean, that whole orgasm thing, I mean, it's not my fault if you can't come. I've tried everything, we've done everything, and you're just emotionally frigid. You're physically frigid. Like, I leave the light on in a room and you freak out. You're not paying the electricity bill. It's my apartment. And how you feel about kids, it's weird.
Okay, I guess you're right.
Okay. I'm anti home base, pro Book of Henry. I just want to put that out there.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
But this, like a lot of other people who were just fucking flabbergasted by this fucking movie, I also want to know, what the fuck is with Colin Trevorrow's weird like weird things with women? Like, what the fuck is happening? Because, none of the female characters in this movie have, like, any sort of agency or even function as people. Not to say any of the male characters do, but it's like...
the closest we get is the high school principal, but she's in 2 scenes.
She's in 2 scenes, the first of which she's like, I can do my job, but I'm not going to. Yeah, and then the last one is, I can do my job.
Yeah, her entire arc is like, is de-infantilizing herself. Meanwhile, Naomi Watts is just being rewarded for being a baby.
The weird,
her and
especially
Sarah Silverman in this are like dumb. And they aren't. And they're like, and here's the thing, like I love Naomi Watts as an actor, beautiful woman. She's like 50.
Yeah.
And this movie only makes sense if her character is like 27.
Like a teen mom.
Yeah.
This would only make sense if
just
she
the
was
character,
a teen mom.
like this kind, like I'm sure there's always been like kind of like loving but kind of hapless slacker moms in the world.
Oh yeah, no, they exist. But
this is not a loving but hapless slacker mom who was born in 1968.
She's playing Gears of War.
And she, but she like clearly she's like written and directed like a millennial.
Yeah,
like a young.
Yes.
I think they were just
like that character only makes sense if she's about our age.
Yeah, I think they got Naomi Watts and they were like, well, fuck, we're not changing the script for her, you know?
Yeah, the way this movie it reads is so much more infantilizing than it would be if you cast like an actress in her like late 20s, early 30s, where it's just
also
like it comes across, especially in depicting like a single mother, as just straight up insulting at many points, as someone who's raised by a single mother herself.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like Henry's like he's handling all the finances.
Which
it's like,
there's a subtext, the inignorable subtext to that is just there's
weird Oedipal shit going on in this movie.
Yes. There are multiple scenes where it's like, there's like that one scene they're talking, she's like in bed and Henry's like next to her, and it is like shot and framed like you would film like a husband and wife talking to each other in bed. It is fucking bizarre.
There's that line she gives Sarah Silverman where she's like, Henry's the most mature man I've ever known.
Yeah.
And then
she's
you're
like,
so mature,
I think I'm gonna
you're
kiss
so
him.
grown up.
My biggest problem with this movie is that it was made by an American. If it was made by like a French or Japanese person that killed themselves after making this, the only American that could make this movie is one of our Crumb's brothers. Like probably the pedophile that killed himself like a week after the movie came out or whatever.
Okay,
that's what makes this movie like even weirder is that it's trying so hard to be classy.
Yeah.
Yes,
like it's not like an edgy movie or a shock movie or like it's not
it
provocative
tries to be
in that way or exploitative or
it tries to be classy in these ways that like obscure like rational like conventional storytelling. Like the one thing like Maddie Ziegler, I don't even remember what her fucking character's name is. She's supposed to be you could replace her with a lamp and the story would like go. She's not a character, she's a plot device. But like the only real indications we get that she's like actually being abused aside from like, you know, cutaway. It's nothing but like cutaway shots where like someone is seeing something through a window and you just know by the expression on their face or something. Like we never see bruises. She's just always kind of like slouched over, has her hair in her fucking like eyes and shit, like fucking Cousin Ed or something.
It's oddly tame.
It's weirdly tame.
This is like a PG-13.
And yet it almost makes it feel a little bit more perverse.
That's exactly it. That's it. It's the movie trying so hard to be classy and like acceptable to like a middle brow prestige sensibility.
I'm gonna say something stupid.
It makes all of the weird sexual qualities of it stand out all the more than if this was just like Sarah Silverman fucks an 11-year-old.
Yeah. I want to sort of say like there's a type of criticism that I hate.
Cook.
And that's the criticism like who is this for? Because I think it's weak and like it kind of puts the onus.
I don't know. I think who is this for is a bad criticism, but it's an interesting question to ask when you're trying to figure out what made a movie like caused it to come out the way it does.
This movie begets the question because it's like like it's tame, but like not tame enough that you could take like the whole family to. Like I wouldn't show this to a kid, you know.
No, because they would freak out when the 11-year-old child dies of a sudden brain tumor.
It almost reminds me of like a Bridge to Terabithia, but it's not as focused as those kind of like.
Which is weird because this is a focus picture.
Yeah, Focus Features.
And it's not
a Comcast company.
It's not something that would be getting like a prestige release and people would like, or like a Roadhouse film. You know, it's not like it was made by a major or a major production company. You know, it had a large budget for films of this caliber. It was a $10 million film. But none of that.
A lot of that budget went to that treehouse, probably.
Yeah, it's like it's got like this almost twee like Stranger Things Wes Anderson thing to it. It's fascinatingly directionless. Like it really, I don't know who this movie is for.
It's a guy who has no style trying to act like he has style.
Yeah,
and it makes it very jarring. It's one of the weird little. It's one of all the little things that add up that make this movie more fascinating and weird than even it just sounds like just describing the plot.
It's
right?
a very
there's so many little
film.
things. Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I'm getting it's like a similar sort of level of like delusion and narcissism you get from, to the Black Tank Top Vanity Project, like The Room, where it's just very clear the filmmakers were like so up their own asses that they couldn't step back and be like, oh, the tone of this is fucking weird.
That's kind of part of what's interesting about this movie is you look at something like The Room and it's a weird guy doing a vanity project totally on his own. It's his own money. He's in total control. This movie, was a script that sat around for almost 20 years, that got through producers and marketers and sensible professionals that are in the industry trying to make money.
You know what it reminds me of?
Like the people that won't, there's so many legitimately interesting, great art films have been rejected by people that let this get made.
Yes.
You know what it reminds me of? And actually this should be maybe a movie that we talk about for that gets its own episode, but it reminds me of the film Passengers. Do you remember Passengers, Stu?
Oh, is that the one with Jennifer Lawrence and
Chris Pratt?
And
I didn't watch it, but I remember when it came out.
It was also a film that sat around on the blacklist for I think it's like 17 years or something ridiculous like that. And it got a lot of attention on it. I think there was even like discourse about payment or something because they like paid Jennifer Lawrence more than Chris Pratt or whatever.
Yes, I remember this.
I don't remember what the deal with the movie was, but it was like everyone was like, this is the best movie that'll never get made or whatever. And then it got made and it came out, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it.
Oh, people hated it. People hated it. That's why.
It was ass, and like
it was ass.
Everything about it, like that I saw was like, it was like, why, like, what is this?
Who is this for?
Yeah, it's very similar to that in terms of like two crazy people were here, you know.
Yeah, and to Stu, I found this quote, and you also found this quote, just to illustrate sort of the level of delusion and inflated sense of ego that I think is behind a lot of the fact that this is.
Is this the one from after the movie came out and bombed?
Yes, this is so like.
Okay, yeah. So this is also just like really cynical ass covering too.
Yeah. So this was like after. Because I'll want to segue off of this to address if this is indeed the reason that Trevorrow got kicked off of Star Wars, but. He did an interview with Uproxx like in June 2018 where they were like, you know, this is the we're giving the hard cutting interview. We're gonna ask him all the burning questions. You know, are you a misogynist? Did this movie cost you Star Wars? What the fuck is going on with the Book of Henry? And he said, and I quote, and Miguel, feel free to insert whatever music you think is appropriate for this. I made a film about holding predatory men in positions of power accountable for assaults, and that is an uncomfortable subject to talk about, Trevorrow said. But we are talking about it now, and we're listening, and I hope the negative response won't deter other filmmakers from telling these stories, because we need to hear them, both in life and in art.
You know what?
We are listening.
This movie is maybe kind of stupid in the same way as Promising Young Woman was.
Oh, absolutely.
Are we gonna have to do an episode on that too?
No.
I saw the.
I mean, I would.
Film, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I don't want to. I don't want to revisit that.
Why? Was it that bad?
Because it's bad. Because it's bad, and I'm gonna get.
You watch on this podcast?
I know, but I don't want to have to watch more bad things than I already have to.
You know what? Fair, actually, that's a good.
But
we touched on this at the beginning, and I forgot to include it in the concise plot summary because this movie is just sprawling with weird little.
I feel
parts.
Lost.
Henry. at the end of the movie, we find out that Henry's basically rigged it up so that Naomi Watts can adopt the abused girl next door after her dad kills himself.
and presumably Lee Pace becomes
stealing
the new
a
dad or
child.
something.
She commits forgery of documents in order to facilitate kidnapping a child so that she can have a replacement daughter for her son that got like fucking brain mogged by God or whatever. Like it's a what a picture.
What are you think? Are you kidding?
What a picture.
Yeah, so I wanna now discuss for our lovely audience, did this movie actually cost Colin Trevorrow Star Wars Episode 9? I tried to find a definitive answer for this, and it is still up in the air, but, you know, to quote The X-Files, I Want to Believe.
Yeah.
So in that same Uproxx interview, they asked him straight up, do you think the Book of Henry had anything to do with you not doing Star Wars? And Colin Trevorrow said, I don't know. I mean, I can't really speculate on it. I'll tell you that the reaction to Book of Henry was far more damaging than the actual movie. The eyebrow raise. I don't mean specifically at Lucasfilm. I mean that was a very acidic situation. And look, every director who has worked in Lucasfilm put their heart and soul into the job, and they left it all on the field. And the bottom line here is that sometimes creative people can't find a shared path through the woods. So I'm going to take that as a yes.
It's like it's a coin flip, really.
If he were, here's what I suspect. Did it get him canned just completely on its own? I don't think so. But what might have been is that he had all of these weird ideas that were making like everyone at Lucasfilm nervous, especially after Last Jedi was
Last Jedi and Solo
like underwhelming, and it made them think, oh wait, no, we need to go back to basics. We need to get JJ back in. Like it was probably the failure of not even really failure, but the relative not meeting their insane expectations of Last Jedi that had them probably rethinking doing anything weird or subversive with the last movie. And then this movie coming out probably just made them think, okay, yeah, this weird, subversive, clever guy shit is not going to fly. We need to bring J.J. Abrams back in and make something safe that'll please everyone.
I would agree. I think if this did anything, this was probably just like the thing that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
It was like the nail. Which, again, still makes this definitively the movie that effectively completely destroyed the Star Wars reboot trilogy. Depending on what your feelings are on like Force Awakens or The Last Jedi.
I mean, I think the Star Wars reboot trilogy destroyed itself.
Destroyed itself, but like, look at fucking Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, like it's obvious, like rushing to try and make it a completely different movie at the relative last minute led to like a really inane plot in a movie that just, I guess, all those movies still made a ton of money. That's the funny thing too, but just
he didn't even get to step on set, and yet he still managed to destroy Star Wars.
King.
Like,
honestly, I do think the Trevorrow Star Wars would have been more interesting.
It would have been more interesting, yeah. Still bad.
Oh, it would have been bad.
I'm kind of rooting for him, you know. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it because the Jurassic World movies fucking blow, you know. And he's sitting comfortable off those, you know. He's not.
Oh, he's got like a couple mansions.
He might never try and like be an artist ever again.
That bummed
he
me
shouldn't.
out a little bit. That bummed me out because it's like if every bad movie was this entertaining, like the world would be a paradise, you know?
Yeah, at least it was way more fun to watch than Jurassic World. Like I'd rather someone swing and miss completely and laugh at that than just watch these like movies that are bad because they're so homogeneously mediocre.
Yeah. And on that note, do you guys what would you recommend as a companion piece to Book of Henry?
Are we there yet?
I don't know. We've been going for 50.
I mean, but we also didn't point out that this movie ends with an original song by Stevie Nicks.
Oh yeah,
and that's like a twist of the fucking knife, dude.
Which also, but it's so funny because it's like so Stevie Nicks just doing a pastiche of like 2010s adult contemporary rock.
You know what it is?
Like, it was very generic sounding.
And maybe this is just because the first time we hear the song, it's played on a ukulele. But it reminds me of like fucking like Jason Mraz or some like...
Oh, God.
I can't stand Jason Mraz.
Yeah, some loser like that, where it's just like, all you know how to do is like come up with a clever turn of phrase over like pop chords on an acoustic guitar, you know?
Yeah, it was depressing. You can hear me, like, I think when I realized it's Stevie Nicks singing on the commentary.
It took me a second.
It sure ain't.
I took fucking psychic damage. Like, I was like -5 psychic damage already by this point. By the time the credits rolled, and that just took me the fuck out.
I will say it was an interesting zig, because like if James Gunn made the Book of Henry, it's either ending on it's ending on like the tweest needle drop of all time. You know, it's ending on like the Postal Service, like Such Great Heights, or like fucking. God, what's it?
That is a good song.
It is a good song.
Peter Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, it's ending on a song that they would make an Apple commercial to in like 2011.
Feel Good Inc.
Yeah, it's actually like it would end on like a stripped back acoustic Gorillaz song, like a fucking yeah, some dog shit like that, and yeah, it would have been, I don't know, it wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, I mean, this will make for a relatively short episode if we don't have any.
Well,
I'm trying to think of other nitpicks, because this movie it's like so chock full of insane decisions that hence why we recorded a commentary track, so you can just understand by like minute to minute sort of what the fuck.
It is funny how Rumors is just half of Fleetwood Mac writing breakup songs about the other half of Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. It's a very funny album.
But yeah, do we want to watch something else's?
I don't even know what could physically be a companion piece to this. I guess watch the Crumb documentary, like, for me.
get on Cole's level to understand the lens through which you're looking at this through.
Get on that.
I think you're probably
we need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah, I don't know. Tetsuo.
Yeah, get your Ezra Miller.
What are other like psycho?
Oh, I got it. I
Home Alone.
I got this. I got this. Because I think at one point during the commentary, I think I said like, I wanted them to like look at the camera, or no, it was at the end. We were like, oh, wouldn't this be like so fucking funny if it ended on like heavy metal? And I was just like, oh, it's just like the beginning of Funny Games. So like in retrospect, I've been thinking about like a lot of the plot points for this. This is like a Michael Haneke movie, but like they tried to make it fun and funny. Yes,
the American version.
Yeah, so I'm going to recommend several Michael Haneke movies. Funny Games, both the original and the American remake. The American remake, which stars Naomi Watts. The Seventh Continent, which was his debut feature, which is a fun little movie about a family that lock themselves in their home, and you're never going to guess what happens next. And probably the most similar to Book of Henry. I should rewatch it because I'll probably vibe with it more, but because in reality, the Henry character would be not just like an obnoxious little twerp who just talks down to people all the time, including like the little boy with like the lisp who's like, I want to be an Olympic dodgeball player, and then he like raps at the end of the talent show, and that was very distressing.
That was crazy.
But Henry would be a raging psychopath, and so that movie of Michael Haneke's is called Benny's Video, where the titular child is actually a raging psychopath. If you don't feel like feeling bad about yourself, and you're like, I don't want to watch a Michael Haneke movie, give me something fun and nice. I think I'm gonna put out, I don't know, is this my first official like John Waters watch something else? Because if so, you guys should watch Pecker, John Waters movie starring basically Edward Norton playing like a young John Waters and his like dysfunctional family. And it's got that like, if like, I'd be very interested to see just like there are like weird little plot points in Book of Henry that I was thinking
TV
about,
show
like,
where Ted Danson plays a doctor.
No, I don't fucking know, you old head. What are you gonna be? Is that like Jag? Is that like the show Jag? Shut up, old head.
Actually,
no,
I have a television show recommendation as well. Also about a genius kid. It's also apparently really shitty. I believe it's called Tom Swift on the CW.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Tom
The Good
Swift.
Doctor. I thought you were going to say The Good Doctor.
I read a bunch of those I read a bunch of Tom Swift Jr. books from the 60s and 50s when I was a kid.
Yeah, they made a CW show where he's a gay black man, and
that rocks.
And it got like 6 episodes before being shit canned.
Tom Swift is like one of the types of things that like Venture Brothers is parodying. Like if you read the Tom Swift, the ones I did that were from that Johnny Quest era.
No. Sorry, I was thinking to myself out loud about something.
I was just going to say, like, watch that segment from the Twilight Zone movie that Joe Dante did with the godchild that turns people into Jack in the Boxes and sends them to live in the... Yeah, they're all episodes from the original. I've never seen the original episode, so I feel like...
Just watch only that part, because it's the... Insert joke about the Twilight Zone movie and helicopters and John Landis right here, please.
I can't think of a good one. If you're gonna watch the Twilight Zone movie, you just need to watch the Joe Dante and George Miller parts.
It's too bad that it's too bad that Naomi Watts wasn't a helicopter parent.
I'm sorry.
It's too bad she won't live. But then again, who does? That'd be sick. Dude. Like fucking like Blade Runner, but it's about like uncovering the Twilight Zone accident. just Harrison Ford like shooting Max Landis dead in like a Chinese street somewhere.
He's like, you know, the part where he's like looking at like the photograph and he's like, computer, zoom in, sector 5. But he's doing that with like the footage of the helicopter crashing.
He's doing that. He's watching one of those shitty Max Landis movies. Fucking computer, fucking enhance. You know.
He's watching American Ulta.
These moments will be lost in time.
You know what? Speaking of which, and this is something I've also been thinking about. How haven't Colin Trevorrow and Max Landis not like hooked up and worked on the project?
Okay, like, that's too much.
Do you have an answer for this?
Slander.
No, they're like a match made in heaven.
I feel like if Max Landis didn't get canceled, that would eventually happen.
That would have happened.
It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's like the perfect director for like his level of narcissistic bullshit.
They're kind of operating on the same level of like
very similar
we're just going to do like these very familiar things in a way that emphasizes how familiar they are, and then do like just a really dumb twist on it.
Yeah.
Just the worst kind of like writing backwards from just how do I subvert the formula, which is still writing to the formula. You're just swapping the X and the Y around and going, isn't that crazy?
They basically went to like the same school of like screenwriting.
It seems to be a lot of
I would watch
like
the fuck
Gen X and millennial
out of like a movie about
writing seems to suffer from this.
I would watch the fuck out of a movie about like one of those like smug Max Landis type screenwriters getting brain cancer and dying. just like
the Book of Landis.
The Book of Landis. He's just like and then the leftover, the titular book is just they're just like, man, this shit fucking sucks.
It's just like his version of his version of Super Mario where like Peach is a prostitute or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So in other news, as we've got a little bit of time to kill here.
Let's get some.
Apparently,
let's get some
Disney
news.
lost $500 million.
Oh, did they?
This fiscal year.
I mean, who among us hasn't lost?
Where did it go? What happened to it?
Probably all went right into streaming, which is not making any money. Like half of that is just the money they spent on fucking Secret Invasion.
Probably, actually. That's gonna be the best Marvel episode. That's gonna be.
I don't want to. Oh no!
It's like 6 episodes. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, you forget the upside of like only doing the Disney Plus shows is that we just have to watch like 6 bad 40-minute movies. for them. You know, they're not like Netflix where they're putting out an entire season. They're like,
all right, 23 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, they're not doing 22 episodes. They're doing like 8 and calling it a day.
So we don't have to do all of them. We just have to pick the ones that seem like most culturally salient.
Yeah, most culturally or salient to understand a film that we're watching.
Yeah. Which is like, you gotta watch a TV show to understand the movie it's one thing if you're making a movie that follows a TV show as like a conclusion, but like doing it from the reverse just to like keep people stuck in your web of content is really repulsive to me.
Streaming. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. It's just the things as someone who like constantly watches things on stream, you know, the Criterion channel, Tubi, Movie, Innocent, but like Netflix is probably one of the worst things to ever happen to media. If we kind of think about it in terms of just the death of physical media and the fact that people are just not getting fucking paid for shit. So
I mean, the technology was inevitable. It's just a matter of, I mean, at the end of the day, just in the digital era, making money off of any kind of like art or multimedia based on scarcity, based on lack of access is just not viable. It just can't work that way anymore. Like there's just like however it is we pay artists to make art for us, it can't be based on like a retail transaction like it's a pair of socks, your ability to watch a movie or whatever. So I think the alternative to that, to like which was to the completely non-sustainable economy of streaming, has to be like, honestly, like, I don't know, like crowdfunding and Patreon types. That's not those apps in particular. I think like that method, there's a lot of evolving it could do, but like setting aside like public funding for the arts and that sort of thing, I feel like having your audience just directly pay you to make a thing, not on a per unit access basis or through production companies or whatever, is probably the only way this works. Whatever this is going forward eventually.
And whatever this is going to be, more importantly.
There's only thing,
it better not be fucking content. I'm so fucking sick of content and just the flattening of that term.
That's the thing. Will people, when the advertising, when the streaming economy bursts because it's not sustainable, the like volume for the money they get for it and the cost of like hosting, and then the ad economy bursts because it's not actually generating any value for anyone in any practical sense, that'll be all that's left. And the thing is, as much as people are content to accept slop if it's what's made available to them, I don't think they'll go out of their way to patronize slop. I think if you're like getting invested enough in the value of art to be like, oh, I'm a supporter of this, I'm paying to make it work, that would probably raise quality standards, I think. Did really generalize on the average, maybe.
No, I think it could be worse. Think so. I mean, like look at like Patreon, for example. It's like, I mean, for every one of us, you know, you have someone that makes actually good content that you could be watching. You know?
Hey,
I'm kidding.
Hey, don't act like you didn't get your Patreon bucks today.
Okay, that's fair. No, but it has like, you know, Patreon is, I wouldn't say it's a meritocracy, but like it does, you know, tend to filter out the dog shit. You know, there's not some people aren't making the MCU on Patreon.
People have to care enough about what you make to feel invested in it in both an emotional sense and a monetary sense, rather than passively buying a product the way you like buy a hamburger. It's a different way of engaging with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I feel like, I mean, there'd always be pandering and trying to find your audience. It wouldn't stop being commercial, but it wouldn't be commercial in the same way stuff is in this economy. As aggressively master, it wouldn't. You everything would be about chasing a niche instead of trying to be everything to everyone.
It's like how like in a city where if like let's say you have like a single screen movie theater and then like a multiplex. If you have a single screen theater and a multiplex, usually, and there's always exceptions to this, the multiplex is going to be showing just everything. They're gonna wide fucking paintbrush, you know. But the single screen is gonna be where you're going to go to see like actual art films, and they're going to take care on the individual product because it's more of an artisan relationship and less of a trying to cater to as many people as possible. It's is there an audience that I can find, you know, and not how do I drive as many people into my thing versus the other thing.
Yeah. So I think, but I mean, the downside is that it's a lot harder to get anything big made.
Yes.
Done. Because you don't have someone already sitting on $100 million to take a gamble on making $200 million off whatever it is you're doing. Mm-hmm. Which is why, like, I'm not proffering this as like the ultimate solution to the problem of compensating artists. That's a political economic problem. But like in terms of like the immediate future, it's the only workable model I can think of. And I think it would be kind of good to like, I mean, we've all got all of these like cameras and things all around us that wouldn't create beautiful filmic cinematic art, but that, you know, if you learn how to work with and embrace the limitations of technology, you could definitely make interesting, striking art with relatively limited, cheap digital tools. You just have to not be chasing a completely different technology and style of production as your aesthetic goal, or following the logic of keeping your histogram all in the center because you're going by like a chart rather than
like
your
the
eyeball.
Pussy? Oh no, that's a hysterectomy.
Yeah, no, the histogram's like a chart in your video or photo editing software that like shows the relative like brightness and quantity of your red, green, and blue spectrums in your light and dark. And the default for editing photos or video is like a sound wave in an audio program is to make sure they don't clip, you know, too dark, too bright, too much, any direction. And that's part of the reason, like so many movies shot on digital now look very kind of bland, is that everything's squished in terms of like tone and color into the middle.
I did actually, one thing I compliment the film, The Book of Henry, is that I do like the shift in color grading to symbolize.
You do?
It's the thing about it for me that's very funny is that it's very obvious.
It is
like
very
it's
obvious.
So it's very obvious and it's very blanket. Like it's not like they really tweaked how they did the lighting. It's just like the first half, like I said, first half of the movie, they turned the dial one direction to add a yellow, orange, brown tint, and then the back half of the movie, they just turned that knob the opposite direction. And that's like 20 seconds in any digital video editing program. So it's very, which doesn't mean simple tricks aren't necessarily bad, but it's just it's so blunt force the way they did it. It's so obvious and kind of like otherwise unmotivated.
No, yeah,
it's like when
it's dumb, but I appreciated that it's a dumb guy having a coherent thought and trying to like have an idea. Unfortunately, I'm also a dumb guy, so
No, you cook.
It's just something every movie does. It's just most movies like this do it more subtly, and you incorporate the set design and the actual lighting into it. You don't just turn the knob in the editing program to get that result. And that just kind of felt like all they did was turn the knob and not put any other thought into it. So it's like just a lack of craft and subtlety to how they implemented that very normal film grading practice. Just had me going. Like so many things in this movie, just think that it's like you think you're being smart and clever with every little thing you do, and then
this is probably the most interesting slop product. I wouldn't even really call it slop product.
It's not really
slop
it's not slop.
adjacent.
It's
slop
someone
adjacent.
really
Slop
it's
adjacent.
people really trying to make art and just not being any good at it.
It's
purveyors of it's slop purveyors trying to trick themselves into thinking they're auteurs.
But the thing I wanted to get out earlier, it's also like a linchpin in the slop like IP landscape, because it represents a hinge point, that being the outcome of Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah,
and the fact that this is by the guy who directed Jurassic World movies that cumulatively made like over $2 billion.
There are countries that have that have stacked less paper than Colin Trevorrow, and
fucking insane.
And
insane.
Yeah, this is kind of like a little Fort Sumter moment for slop in a way.
For real.
Or like actually, it's more of like a Franz Ferdinand, and that like some asshole just wanted to do some shit, and then like because of a bunch of like negotiations and alliances,
it's the little domino.
Yeah, it's the little domino that tricks a bunch of big corporations into being like, holy shit, we have to self-destruct now.
And now Star Wars is just kind of back to being like. It's TV shows now, but it's back to being like it's just EU stuff for the nerds.
Yeah,
it's become relatively a niche market product again.
So
instead
you,
of
Colin Trevorrow.
Being like a $1 trillion mega hit, like how much money did Disney spend buying Lucasfilm in the Star Wars brand? Does it feel? Do you think they actually made their money?
Cool few billion.
Do you think they actually made their money back on that?
They haven't made their money back yet on it.
That's so funny.
That's actually part of the reason why they seem to have more of like paper hands about it than like a Marvel. Is because Marvel they bought for like, I think it's like $300 million or something like that. It was
Marvel they got relatively cheap for what they got out of it, but Star Wars they overpaid.
Yeah. They
took the Elon Musk route.
They bent the knee to the fat man, and and fucking. It's so funny that George Lucas went. Do you know what he did with the money?
He donated it to the MLK statue.
Yeah, the reason why there's an MLK statue in Washington D.C. is because fucking Disney bought Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
So if you like Martin Luther King,
that was the opening bit for one of our episodes. You don't remember?
I couldn't remember if it was that or TGO.
Yeah, no,
I don't remember what.
No, it was us.
Yeah, I remember. It's still funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you were like, I love black people.
So
George Lucas.
So really, we should.
I think they're the real Jedi.
We kind of owe a debt of gratitude to Colin Trevorrow, because like if he doesn't make this piece of shit, we live in the world where like Taika Waititi and Patty Jenkins are making Star Wars films. Like they keep canceling Star Wars films because of the Book of Henry, you know? Because like,
okay.
Because
I won't say that.
It's because it's literally like the same mindset.
That assumes that the Colin Trevorrow Rise of Skywalker would have saved the franchise, which I don't think it would have. I think it still would have.
I don't think it
wouldn't have been as bad. I don't think, having not seen it yet, I don't think it probably would have been as bad, because apparently it actually ties up things.
The Book of Henry effect is kind of noticeable, because like, you know, Book of Henry comes out, Colin Trevorrow loses Star Wars, Game of Thrones finishes, the D&D guys lose Star Wars, Wonder Woman 84 comes out, Patty Jenkins loses Star Wars, Thor 4 comes out, Taika Waititi loses Star Wars. He was the small domino in he saved us.
And now it's just back to being EU bullshit that Dave Filoni does for guys in Boba Fett Lives t-shirts. Yeah,
I don't have to watch that shit. Like, God, could you imagine how awful this podcast would be if we were watching the Game of Thrones like writers fucking try and piddle around in the Star Wars universe? Or
man.
I think Patty Jenkins was trying to make like a send up to like Aviator films in Star Trek, or like fucking Taika Waititi wanted to make some shit about like smugglers or whatever, we would have killed ourselves by now. Like,
we just don't need more Star Wars, man.
We don't need more
Let it rest. Let it
slop.
fucking rest.
And thank you, Colin Trevorrow, from the bottom of my heart, for saving us by making your shitty movie with Jordan Peterson.
God, that I can't fucking believe you unloaded that on me. All right, well, you know who we should actually thank? We should thank our patrons. So I'm going to thank everyone for the month of September, and we got one person who successfully patroned to us for October. So thank you to Lil Tisa, Tash Diehart, Jay, Don Cyborg, Angel, Juan C. Rodriguez, Glenn Shook, Key, Samuel Mercer, Osiris, Connor Frygon, Andrew Gaines.
Osiris.
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 God.
I don't speak Egyptian.
You never had
he's one of the three that everybody knows.
There's a clothing brand named after him that makes shitty basketball shoes.
He didn't appear in the Persona 5 level, so I don't know her.
You never read
like
Percy
a basic
Jackson?
You didn't do like a basic Egyptian and Greek myth thing in grade 7?
I'm actually really surprised.
I was a Titanic artist.
Okay, but you're what, 5 years older than me? Like that would be prime.
Okay, but
that's prime.
You know about Zeus, right?
Yes.
And Odin.
I still have one more patron to thank.
Osiris is at that level, though. We're not talking about Ahura Mazda here.
I'm more surprised.
We couldn't have just let it go. We couldn't have just let.
I know we aren't doing stretch goals.
Let me take the L. Let me take the L for mispronouncing something yet again. Just
I know
let
we
me
aren't
take
doing
the L.
stretch goals, but I would like to put my sobriety on the limit and say that if we get to the amount of money where I can quit my job, I'll get back into Destiny 2. Fuck it, I'll kill myself.
And thank you to Aiden Andrewchow.
Wait, we have a special thank you to don't we have a Kevin Feige tier patron now?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Shout out to Omer. He's been tipping us. I'm seeing a comment from Omer about maybe doing a Guillermo del Toro episode for something. So maybe we can make that happen.
We should probably figure this out when we're not recording.
I love Del Toro. Okay.
This is the best episode. This is
we're all screeching at each other because this movie is batshit insane.
I'm so sorry, for not only for Miguel, who has to make this coherent, but for our wonderful
our lovely listeners and our patrons, the people give us their money.
But that's the Book of Henry. That's
you're gonna close the book on this.
As they say, that happened. What are we doing next episode?
We're doing Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Right, yeah. Actually, all right, I guess we're doing some kind of cartoon shit for children.
But we're gonna, before we do that, we're gonna record our bonus episode for the month of October, which can we say it?
Yeah.
Let's just say it. It's something me and Stu have teased for a long time. We're doing Cemetery Man,
aka Della Morte dell'Amore.
This is a movie me and Stu both love.
Is this gonna be some necrophilia shit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck.
Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I built my life around you.
Shout out to Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Shout out to Jim.
Hi, Jim.